Hello everybody, my name is CulBlu and I'm bringing you guys this video of me playing a board game. This is definitely not a small box, definitely still a big game though. This is going to be Clans of Caledonia. I'm going to be teaching how to play the solo player version and also playing through a solo player version of the game. If you're here to learn how to play the multiplayer version, my apologies, I'm not going to be teaching that specifically. But as far as I know, the rules are essentially the same, except for you have to worry about your opponents moving and doing stuff. Actually, I can explain the multiplayer game. So basically take all the rules that we have for the single player game and make it to where you only take one action per turn. So in a solo game, I can take as many actions as I want continuously, but in a multiplayer game, you will essentially take one action and then you will pass to your opponents. And then once it comes back to you, you can either take another action or pass. And once you pass, you're out of the round. So that's essentially how the game goes. There's also some stuff with scoring too, but we'll talk about that later. Alright, so this is Clans of Caledonia. I have set up before us most of the single player setup. And I will be playing as the clan Robertson down here. But no worries, I'm not going to just jump into the game and start playing. I'm actually going to teach the rules of what we're looking for, what we're trying to do. And then we will go ahead and start playing to see if I can finish the game in a timely manner. So in Clans of Caledonia, your goal is to basically build your settlements, grow your settlements, and score victory points. You do that by having different scoring conditions, and then whoever has the total victory points, whoever has the highest total victory points amongst the players wins. In a solo game, my goal is to try to break 161 points. 161 is considered the higher echelon of scoring. Of course, I can score lower than that. Just depends on how I do in the game. But when you're playing the game, you generally want to try to score as high as you want, especially when playing solo, because what else is the point, right? Right? Alright, so this goes away. This is not mine. So like I said before, what you're seeing here is you're seeing me set up the solo game, and I have the board set up. So just to give you guys a tour of the board, in a solo player game, once again I'm explaining from the solo player rules, I do not use the edge of the board. So I do not use the edge of the board, which is slightly blacked out here. And also there's a neutral player, and that neutral player just covers up all the ones. And let's go ahead and explain the significance of all that. So in this game, you're trying to build up your settlements, you're trying to do things, you're trying to, buy land, manage your money, sell in the market, which is over here, which is a nice, beautiful system. I love it. And then you're also trying to score victory points by finishing contracts, which are these bundle things here. So the point system in this game is kind of point salad. This is, I guess, typical of Euros in general. But it's kind of a point salad to where you're scoring points from contracts, like these give you raw victory points. This symbol down here, this bales down here, 5 bales, hops, sorry, not bales, hops. That will give you victory points. So this gives me, for instance, 5 victory points, assuming I completed it. You can also score points from the exported resources, which are out here. Which is the sugarcane, the tobacco, and the cotton, and they score on their own special scoring scale, which I'll explain later. And then you also score points based on how your settlements are placed. Settlements are considered any of your tokens that are out on the board. So if we're using the white player as an example, the white player has a few settlements, but there's some very specific caveats with the settlements to take into consideration. And you can also score points from having the most contracts. So the more contracts you have in general, not necessarily just the raw points that I mentioned before down here, or the points that you also get from the exported resources like up there with the cotton, tobacco, and sugarcane. But you can also score points if you have the most contracts in general, which in a solo player game, if I have 7 or more contracts, I score the most victory points, which I think it's 12. It's either 12 or 18. I can't remember the exact number. So pretty much, like I said, a point salad. You can store your points many different ways. But the main goal is for me to break that primary score of 161. And I will try my hardest. I will try my hardest to do it. We will see how close I get. But I'm typically not good at this game, so this may just be a video of us making fun of how bad I am at it. Alright, so in giving an introduction to the player card, I will bring our focus down to this area. Once again, apologies for having just a single camera. I'm not going to have the second camera set up because everything is green anyway, and green on a green screen doesn't show up well anyway. But here we have our main player board in this area, And as you can see, I'm covering up with these little tokens. These tokens represent different things in my technology. And when they're deployed on the board, they reveal under them what I will be getting at the end of the round. So certain resources build into other resources. Like for instance, the cow will produce milk, which is down here. And that milk can be converted into cheese during the production phase. So if I have this revealed at the end of the round, then I can produce one milk, or I produce 2 milks total, and I can choose to, if I want to convert those milk into cheese. And if I don't want to, I can keep 1 milk and maybe convert one of them into cheese. Or if I had just this in general, where I had 2 cheese factories on the board, and I had some milk in my holding area just on the side, I can just convert those 2 milk into cheese, even if I don't have the production from the cows. So you can do some really cool, tricky things with that. I've learned recently that it's usually better to just make your own production. It hurts in the earlier rounds, but in later rounds, boy, does it pay off. Boy, does it pay off. Also on this board, besides the production resources, you have your workers, and your workers are this area here, the foresters and the mountaineers. And what they do is they generate just flat out money at the end of the round. So for each one revealed, you will have a certain amount of income coming in. The more you have revealed, the better you'll do. And they also have a technology, which is down here. So this very small symbol down here, this is a wood axe, and this is a pickaxe. And you can upgrade this throughout the game just by taking an upgrade action by paying the requisite $10 to upgrade, which will make them more efficient. So this gives them a saw, a wood saw, and this gives them a dynamite. And that essentially makes it to where they give you $2 extra per person placed out. So you can also increase how much money you earn, which is really good. And then of course you have your marketers. Your marketers are the people that you'll be using, these cubes here. These are the cubes I'll be using to buy or sell goods at the market, which the market will move accordingly. So for instance, if I wanted to buy 2 cheese, then I would buy my 2 cheese at $10 a piece. So I spend $20, and then this moves up too, like so. So when you have multiple players, the market is constantly moving up and down. It's really cool. I love that marketing system. But there are some rules to when you buy and sell things. Like for instance, if I were to buy 1 cheese at, let's say hypothetically $11, then I would spend my $11, buy 1 cheese, it'll go up. I cannot later on go and sell that same cheese in the same round because I've already used a marker. And I also cannot go and buy more the same round because I've already placed a marker there. So it's kind of an all or nothing. If I want to buy 5 cheese, I need to buy 5 cheese at the time I buy it. So it's a really cool system overall though. And this player board is going to be really far away for the points. So this is close to me because I'll be manipulating it a lot. This is kind of close because I'll be interacting with it, but this is pretty far away. So I will figure out how to make that work out for me. All right, so another thing to talk about too is contracts. So when you complete a contract by essentially giving the required things. So in this case, I need lamb, 2 wool, and 1 cheese. So once I pay those resources, then the contract is complete. This area here, this box, is where I keep my contracts. So I keep my contracts there. And once I finish a contract, I can move it out to the side, and then I have space for another contract. I can only have 1 contract at a time with the character that I'm playing right now. And with this particular character, every clan has a specific power. So for instance, the clan Buchanan, they have an extra location to hold contracts. Clan Campbell, they pay less money for more of the locations they have out. Clan Ferguson, they start with 3 people at the beginning of the game. They also start with some extra technology, and but they have to be deployed on the edge of the board. Clan Cunningham, they get every time they sell milk, they just get flat out $8, which is great, and so on and so forth. And you have your different people that do different things. So today we're going to be playing Clan Robertson because it's the one I've been practicing with, and we'll see if I can give you guys a competent game here. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk about the thing that we probably should have led off with, which is what can you do each round. So each round, you can choose to do 7 actions. You can choose to do 7 actions. And there's a nice handy little sheet here that I won't keep on screen because I'm going to be limited on space to begin with, but I will kind of keep all to the side for myself. But this little sheet tells you 8 actions that you have. This sheet tells you all 8 actions you can do. Action number 8, which is the last one, is you can pass. Passing means that you're out of the round, you're done, you're not going to be playing any more turns. So that means you get your stuff. But if you're playing a multiplayer game, the first person to pass will, and I'll take your attention here, the first person to pass will get the $16 place, and the second person to pass will get $13 if you're playing 2 players. If you're playing more than 2 players, on the back side here, you can see that the first person to pass gets $16 extra. The second person to pass gets 14, third person to pass gets 12, and last person to pass gets $10. So that's every time you pass, you'll get that money. In a solo player game, I will always get $16 once I pass. I will always get $16 once I pass in a solo player game. So that's what passing does. Next is to do trade. Trade is to send your workers over to the market to buy or sell. You can only buy or sell one type of good at a time. Since I'm playing solo, I can take as many actions as I want to anyway, so I can technically buy or sell as many as I want. But since we're playing by the rules, that means that if I want to buy 4 cheese, for instance, assuming I had the 4 workers to do it, I would have to send them all at once to buy the 4 cheese, and then pay it all at once to buy the 4 cheese for this one round. Otherwise, you know, I had to basically wait around, or, you know, be sad and can't buy the cheese. So another action that you can take during the round is going to be the attain and export contract. So the contracts will cost you money at a certain point in the game. In the very first round, if we take our attention over here to the board, in the very first round you see the black 5 next to the 1 marker, which signifies the first round. That basically means in order to buy a contract, I get $5. And whenever I take a contract, the game gives me $5, which is great. You know, it's amazing. It's encouraging me to get contracts and do things, right? So round 2, it gives me $0. Round 3, it actually costs me $5 to take a contract. Round 4, it costs me $10 to take a contract. And round 5, it costs me $15 to take a contract. And the general idea is that by that time, you'll be having money, you'll have income, you'll probably be doing pretty okay for yourself. So the game makes you pay it money. The game just makes you pay it money. All right, so that's how the contracts work. So I can attain a contract as an action. The next thing I can do is I can expand. Expand is to basically place one of my tokens on the board in a place that I can reach. And once I do, I pay the cost of the unit that I deployed and the land that I deployed to. Once again, I pay for the unit that I deployed and the land that I deployed to. So, for instance, if I wanted to deploy this cow, if you look at the board, once again, I know it's overhead, it's going to be a little bit far away, so hopefully it shows up a little bit well on camera. But there's a little number 9 here, and that means it cost me $9 to deploy this. The number in red basically means it cost me $9 to place this. And if I were to, let's see. If I were to hypothetically place this cow on this piece of land here that costs $5, then I would pay 9 plus 5. So I have to pay $14 to actually place that cow. So that's how the money place, or that's how the placement works. So as an action, I can choose to expand, which is essentially put a person on the board. There are some rules to that, and those rules are that I need to have the appropriate technology to place in certain places. So let's go ahead and talk about the upgrade action, which is actually, upgrade shipping, which is actually the next thing on the card. The way the upgrade works is essentially, I look at this little marker down here at the very bottom, and this shows what my shipping level is. So right now my shipping level is 0. What that means is that I can only deploy units that are directly land adjacent to each other. So if I wanted to deploy something here, in this spot here, over the river, I need to upgrade my technology. So in order to do that, I can pay $4 to upgrade, do the upgrade shipping action. So I pay the $4 and it goes up to here. Now I have the ability to deploy over rivers. So I can now deploy a person, So I can now deploy a thing here, and I can deploy a person there, and I can deploy a thing here, and I can deploy a thing, oh, I can't deploy a thing there. Actually, why is this here? I can deploy a thing there, and I can deploy a mountaineer over here, and, you know, kind of continue going on. If I want to deploy something, let's say I want to deploy to this spot here, I need to increase my shipping level again, so now I can go as far as 1 lock. What that means is that now that I've upgraded it to the 1 lock level, is lock, lake, river, but the game calls it lock, so I'm going to use the game's terminology. That means that I can now deploy across the lock like so. And these are considered connected. Now, I know I did air quotes, but this is where the settlement scoring goes in, so I will explain more on the settlement scoring momentarily, but I just want to prepare your mind to know that this is extremely important to understand the concept of your shipping level plus locks, and then we'll get into the settlement part, which is the last complication. So, if I have lock 1, that means I can deploy it to here. I can also deploy it to here because this is 1 lock away from this spot that I own, so I can deploy there. And I can kind of keep going, you know, just kind of keep building up. Ooh, excuse me. Now, if I wanted to continue along, I could actually go ahead and upgrade my technology again, so I can have my shipping level to level 2, and now I can do over 2 locks, and of course that means I can go 2 lakes as far. So I can go from here, and deploy to there. So this is 2 locks away. Like that. You can kind of just keep going, and the game very logically fits very logically fits the theme of the story, because we're basically clans in I'm assuming Ireland or wherever Caledonia is. We're Clans of Caledonia, you know. We're literally building up our clans and are building up our settlements. So that's how the technology works. Once again, locks and locks and rivers are very important, and you need to have the appropriate technology to expand as far. And the technology costs $4 per level that you want to move it up. And once it's unlocked, you unlock the lower levels, of course. So I can still build over rivers if I wanted to. I can also build over lakes further distances, the higher my technology is. And that's extremely important to understand for scoring purposes, because when it comes to settlement scoring, as I mentioned before, in a solo game, if I have, I think it's 14 or more settlements. If I have 14 or more settlements, I score the most points. Yeah, so if I have 14 or more connected settlements, I get 18 victory points. So a connected settlement is considered an area that is an area that is connected by lock or river. So if it's a contiguous area, like for instance this area here with 4 tokens in it, this is all one single settlement. This is all one single settlement. Now, this place over here is also a single settlement. So if we were to count right now on the board what my settlement looks like, what my settlement number is, that is, I have 1 settlement, 2 settlement, 3 settlement, 4 settlements, 5 settlements, 6 settlements, 7 settlements, and 8 settlements. And these are all connected because my technology is at lock level 2, and they can all be reached to one another by lake, lock, river, so on and so forth. So that is extremely important, because my goal is to get 14 of those so I can get the most points at the end of the game. So that's going to be a challenge. I think I figured it out. I'm actually, like I said, I played this a few times yesterday, like 6 or 7 different times, literally 6 or 7 times, because I had nothing else to do yesterday. And I think I figured out the secret to winning, but we'll see. We'll see if I actually shame myself on the internet, or if I, do the game proud. So technology is important for the river level. Technology is also important for the worker level. So I can get more of these workers I can send to go buy or sell things by unlocking them. It costs me $4 to get more workers. So if I spend $4 to unlock a worker, I spend the $4, I get the worker. Pretty simple. And now when I go to send people to buy and sell stuff, let's say I want to hypothetically sell 2 cheese. Then I put it here on the bottom of the market. Assuming I had the 2 cheese to begin with, then I would get $12 per cheese I'm selling, get my $24, and this will move down too. And then next time around, let's say I wanted to buy 1 bread, then I would take my other worker, send him to the market, buy the 1 bread for $10, then this will go up, and then I, move on with the game. So that's how those portions of things work. It's all interconnected and all really cool. The other technology is hire merchant. Another technology is how much money I get per worker that's out in the field. So this spot down here. So for every forester that I have deployed in a forest, it will reveal numbers to show how much money I get at the end of the round. So in this case, I will get $4 because of my technology per forester that's out on the board, legally of course, and it actually totals the number up for me, shows me I get $12. Now if I upgrade my wood axe to a better technology to be a wood saw, I now get $18 per, $18 for the whole lot of woodworkers that I have out there. So upgrading that technology early seems to be the key to having a nice late game. So we will be focusing on that. Same thing for the mountaineers. So it costs $6 to deploy a woodworker, and they can only be placed in areas with wood on them, which are these three spots here. Also, they can be placed in combination areas like this. Oh, also I didn't mention this before, but you can only have 1 token per hex. So that's it. I assume that was implied, but I want to make sure I specify that explicitly. I can only have 1 of my pieces there per hex. If you're playing a multiplayer game, same rule applies. And of course, if you're playing a multiplayer game and somebody takes the hexes you wanted, you know, it's just a very sad time. Just a very sad time. But it happens. It happens. All right. Sorry, give me a second. I got to snooze an alarm. All right, so the next thing to talk about is the... Oh, right, sorry, the woodworkers and mountaineers. So the woodworkers cost $6 to place, and they generate $4 or $6 if you get the upgraded. And the mountaineer costs $10 to place, but they generate $6 per round or $8 if you get the upgraded pickaxe. So, you know, some people have varying strategies and varying logics on if you should hire one over the other. In my mind, I want to get all of them out anyway, so I don't really care. But the order that I do get them out does matter. So that's how those guys work. And the last action to talk about is the fulfill a contract. So the fulfill a contract is to basically pay the appropriate cost of the contract. So our contracts, our sample contracts here, if I had this particular contract, which requires 1 lamb and 3 bread, in order to pay for this contract, I had to have at least 1 sheep out on the board, legally of course, and also had to have the 3 bread resources I was referring to. Once I'm ready to fulfill the contract, I discard the 3 bread to the supply, and then I had to slaughter or kill the 1 sheep and put it back on my board to be deployed later. And then I will get myself this contract. I fulfill the contract, which I put to the side like so, and then I move the sugar cane up 4 because it says I get 4 sugar cane, and then at the end of the game I will get 2 additional victory points. So that's basically how that works. And let me try to get all of this sorted. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all the tokens in their proper places. But as you can see, the game has a lot of different things that I need to focus on at the same time. So it does require a lot of focus and a lot of discipline, which are 2 things that I sometimes have trouble holding on to in general. But I practiced, and hopefully I'll be able to replicate a successful gameplay. So, as I mentioned before, I'm teaching the solo rules of this game, and the way you play solo is essentially you do not use the edge of the board. You do not use the edge of the board, but you set it up as a 2-player game. So when you play a 2-player game, you don't use the edge of the board anyway. And the additional rule that you play while you're playing solo is that you also set these edge tokens, which I can get if I have the appropriate reach for. You set those edge tokens to the 2-player location, so 2-player locations here versus the more than 2-player location, which is down here for this one, for instance. And you also cover, with a neutral player, you cover all of the 1 cost lands. So every spot that costs 1, I've covered. As you can see, I've covered all the 1s. So that means I am ready to get going. If I do miss a 1, I'll just cover it with another neutral piece later. But that just basically means that I can't build on that particular piece of land, because of course I'm playing solo. That'll be a little bit too easy if they just let me have that. So they can't just let me win 1. Can't just let me win 1, can they? Alright, so that's essentially the rules. If you sat through most of that, hopefully you'll have gotten a picture of everything. But if you didn't, no worries. Feel free to rewind and check out the other rules. I'm going to go ahead and cut this video here, and then we'll start up a new video with me actually just straight up playing the game. And hopefully I can do us proud and actually win. So, Alright, thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, I will see you guys whenever.